sustainable incentive is to encourage companies to reinvest some of their revenue into secondary techniques and into drilling and so on. Again, the Minister of Energy must certify the expenditure or certify the parameters to allow persons to qualify for this particular incentive. With respect to property tax, we have decided that we should waive property tax for the period January the 1st, 2010 to December 31st, 2023, because there's a lot of ambiguity, a lot of misinformation out there about property tax and when it will be applicable. So we decided to remove the uncertainty, and this clause adjusts the Property Tax Act to make it crystal clear that property tax will not be imposed up to December 31st, 2023. Because if you read the tax laws together, you would see that it would have been possible to impose property tax in 2023. We could have sent out tax notices this month, for example, but we decided to cut it off cleanly, and the regime will come into effect on January 1st, 2024. So the first year that property tax will be applicable by law will now be 2024. So we're going to forego any revenue that we might have been able to collect for 2023 by starting in January 1st, 2024. Mr. President, the usual suspect is grumbling and disturbing me. I seek your protection.
Okay, so, all right. Let's just keep the levels a little low. Minister, continue.
So let me just repeat that, because we are a country of misinformation. Property tax will be waived until December 31st, 2023. It becomes applicable from the 1st of January, 2024. Okay? Mr. President, seriously. Well, I just hope they will reduce their volume and not increase it. Now, persons would have seen notices going out from the Valuation Division. When the notices first went out, there was a lot of confusion and misinformation, deliberate misinformation, where persons were led to believe that the notice of valuation was a notice of property tax. It is not. You have to take the value, the annual rental value, and multiply it by 2.7%, which is 90% of 3%. So if, for example, you were told that your annual rental value is $100,000, then you have to multiply that by 2.7% to get the tax. The tax would then be $2,700. But if it's $50,000 you're told, and you multiply that by 2.7%, you get $1,350 per year, just over $100 a month. But people were misled into believing, when they got the notice of valuation of their annual rental value, that that was the property tax. Fortunately, I was able to quash that mischief quickly. So now we are into the realm of, are the rental values fair? And I have had, and I'm going to call some names, I've had persons from the most prestigious neighborhoods in Trinidad and Tobago complaining to me about the annual rental value that has been assessed for their property. And I'll use an example of Federation Park. People from Federation Park have complained to me that their houses have been valued at a rental value that is equivalent to just around $20,000 a month, $19,000 a month. And I had a very passionate group coming to me to tell me that can't be right. Nobody in Federation Park is getting more than $10,000 a month for their property. Now, how does one deal with that? How do you deal with that? Because one knows that that is just not so. That is not so. There will be, yes, 10,000 TT. I have people from Federation Park telling me that they can't rent their properties for more than 10,000 a month, and they get a valuation of 20,000 a month. It can't be right. They're going to challenge it legally in the courts. It's all right. There will be improper valuations, incorrect valuation. I have no doubt. You know, this is a new system. There will be valuations that make no sense. And that is why we have a challenge process in place that if you are of the view that your valuation is incorrect, you can challenge it and you can provide evidence that the valuation is nonsensical. But there are some noises I'm hearing that don't make any sense to me, okay? And the other thing that people need to understand is that if you are financially challenged, you're a pensioner, you live in a house that you bought years ago, it is now in a neighborhood that is an expensive neighborhood. I'll use Woodbrook, for example. You would have bought a house in Woodbrook 40 years ago, 50 years ago. At that time, it was affordable. It would not have been very expensive at all. But now, because of the commercialization of Woodbrook, properties in Woodbrook are changing hands for $3 million, $4 million, and so on. And rental in Woodbrook is now $20,000, $25,000 a month. And therefore, you have an old couple, they're on pension, and they're confronted with a rental value of, let's say, $20,000 a month, and the tax on that would be $600 a month or $7,000 a year, and they can't pay. I had somebody speaking to me yesterday about that. And the solution to that, it's in the Property Tax Act, is you make an application to the Board of Inland Revenue for deferral of the tax, so you don't have to pay it. So you, as the pensioner who has been assessed with this high valuation, you don't have to pay it because you have demonstrated that you're on fixed income and you simply can't afford that additional $600 a month. If you're getting pension of $3,005, Mr. President.
So, Senators, the procedure is if you have something to respond in relation to what the Minister of Finance is saying, you can ask him to give way, or you can wait for your opportunity to speak. Continue, Minister.
Mr. President, 1, 2, 3. I noticed this side is making no noise. Thank you for that. Let me explain the concept of deferral. If you're an elderly, financially challenged person, and you can demonstrate that you cannot pay property tax of $600 a month, which I am sure many pensioners will be able to demonstrate easily, because the fact that you are on old age pension means that, or senior citizens pension as it's called now, you have to demonstrate to qualify for senior citizens pension, you have to demonstrate that you have no income. So once you're a senior citizens pensioner, you would meet the criteria of financial challenge automatically, because unless the Ministry of Social Development has not done a proper assessment of you. But the fact is that you're on disability, on public assistance, whatever you are, a social grant, automatically you have been screened and deemed that you are in an impecunious position. Therefore, personally, that would automatically get a deferral. And the deferral means that it is deferred for all time that you are in that situation. In that situation. So you're 70 years old, you're in receipt of a senior citizen's pension. One does not expect your situation to improve. You may pass away at age 75 or whatever it is, or age 80 or age 90 as the case may be. And what would happen now is the property would now be inherited by somebody else. That person may be a very wealthy lawyer, like somebody in front of me. And that person who inherits the property now will now be required to pay the tax because they no longer are in the financially challenging situation that the pensioner was. So that the pensioner will pass on the property to a wealthy person. And that person is no longer in the situation where they could continue with the deferral. It's common sense. There's no rocket science here. Yeah, I'm almost finished.
Minister?
Sure.
Can I just ask one question? In the notices that are going around to people with the total annual rent